Hi there, guys. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Roth. Along with me is Derek DeBurger.
Hello.
In this podcast, we talked about everything in the recap of the college football week, as well as talking about Alex Grinch getting fired by Lincoln Riley, some of the quotes Dion said about his OC and the changes that were made, and also Connor Stallings and his final resignation from Michigan for sign stealing. Also, college basketball is back now, as the time that we're recording this.
Yes.
And also a little caveat I want to say is go out and vote today if you have not had the chance. Local elections are going on, and
In
we
some
would
places,
love to.
not every place has
not every
elections.
place, but it is your chance to. If you have the ability to vote, go vote. It is your right.
Completely forgot about that. I already
No.
voted. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we'll see you in this week's episode, and see you for this episode. Like and subscribe helps out the channel.
Do it, please.
Absolutely.
All right, bye. Well, everybody, it's a beautiful day here in the Derby City. It's about, 73 degrees outside, and college basketball is back.
I don't know if that's the beautiful part of the Derby City right now.
I don't. What are you talking about?
Well, we can get into that, but
Oh yeah, look, college. Look,
I'm happy college basketball
basketball is basketball.
Basketball is basketball, but our basketball team, a lot of question
The
marks.
women's team, I'm excited. There's a question marks, but I'm excited.
A lot of turnover there. Only like 4 returning players, but that's besides
not a
the
lot.
point. No,
That's beside the point right now. What you guys are probably here for is college football.
right. And yeah,
Yeah, that was a good weekend.
yeah. It was
Did you get a chance to watch any games?
Louisville versus Virginia Tech.
Yes.
because I was there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah.
Great game.
And then
Fun for us, at least.
oh boy, did I love that beatdown.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wasn't really able to watch too many games. Was keeping track of scores during the game. So did watch the beginning of. Oh, who did I have on at noon at the tailgate? It was
Ole Miss, Texas A&M.
that one for a little bit, but there was another one because my uncle was betting it for some reason.
I don't know. I watched a lot of games this weekend. I
Oh,
actually
really?
had the opportunity to.
There you go.
Even though I maybe shouldn't have.
Really?
I had to write on Sunday. I had to begin and finish a paper
Oh,
that was like 2,000 words.
hey.
So
Way
maybe I should have worked a little harder on Saturday.
Way to crunch that one out.
Yeah, but no, this is a fantastic week of college football.
Yeah.
There were a lot of great games. It's late in the season, so every game for a lot of teams, it feels like it's like every game is a potential elimination game.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
like Georgia beat Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was that massive in the SEC East
Mhm.
race for who is going to represent the SEC East in the title game, but also Missouri now has 2 losses. They're probably done for the college football playoff. They
Well-
probably can't make it unless there's total chaos.
Well, absolutely. Each week, a team gets eliminated from the playoff opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, you could argue the latest victim. I mean, they still have a sliver of hope. Is Oklahoma losing to Oklahoma State?
I don't.
They still have a chance. They're not eliminated,
It depends on.
but they definitely
I
didn't
saw-
help their chances.
I saw Heather Dinich, who I'm not a big fan of her. I
Mhm.
do not like her commentary on ESPN, but she had written an article about the 12 teams that still have a chance to make the playoff, and it was basically her predicting where the playoff committee was going to rank 1 through 12.
Mm-hmm.
And at 11, she had Oklahoma with 2 losses, and it's like, well, okay, that's kind of suspect. And then at 12, she had Louisville, which this is why I don't like Heather Dinich that much. If you're not like a top tier program, she does not care about you at all.
I mean,
Like she's one of those people that
is it
like,
bad
would,
that
would have fought and scratched and clawed to not let Cincinnati in the playoff a couple of years ago.
But to be fair to her, Oklahoma's 2 losses are,
Texas. No, they
No,
beat Texas. They lost to
they only have 1
Kansas.
loss. Oh,
They lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State,
Right,
which are 2 top 25 losses.
right, and then we lost to Pittsburgh.
That's true. But also, Louisville has wins over Duke, who was a top 25 team at the time.
Doesn't
If
really matter.
they beat North Carolina, they're probably going to move back into the top 25 because North Carolina is probably going to be ranked.
I mean,
They beat down Notre Dame. I'm just saying, this is not me trying to cape for Louisville right now. I'm just saying, like, I brought that up to say, depending on, like I said, who the committee really wants in the playoff and who they don't, Oklahoma could have a shot. Or if Oklahoma, I think, is below all the one-loss teams minus Tulane, because they seem to not like Tulane at all, then Oklahoma has no shot whatsoever. The committee, and I think that's what's going to happen, because it looked like last week the committee basically told everyone, they're like, yeah, record is the most important thing,
well, it is.
followed by resume.
Oh yeah.
And-
If you're winning games, you deserve to have a shot.
Yeah.
There's no reason for.
And I mean, and I agree with that to an extent.
I mean, yes. Let me put it this way: if you are a Power 5 school and you go undefeated, you should be in the playoff.
Probably.
Caveat being, if there is 5 or more undefeated teams, one of them has to be out.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Hmm. And this, of course, is the last year of that really being a caveat.
Right, because, I mean,
Starting next year, it's going to be, if you go undefeated, period, you're going to be in the playoff.
right, because you deserve a shot to.
Yeah, you're going to be top 12.
Well, you deserve to challenge yourself against the best too, which
Mhm.
is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the committee tells you, like, there's an old saying. I believe Maya Angelou said it. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on this quote. But I believe Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Mm-hmm.
The playoff committee showed everyone they care about record over everything else.
Makes sense. I don't have an issue with that.
Typically, yeah. I mean, they tweak their criteria every year, which is fine. There's turnover every year for the committee. Like, there's different people on the committee every year. But a few years ago, Auburn was a 2-loss team, and they were number 4 in the country. And they were playing in the SEC title game. And everyone was like, well, if Auburn wins, they're in. And they were 2 losses. And there were teams with 1 loss below them. But the thing is, that Auburn team had just gotten so hot at the end of the year. They were on fire. They were killing it. They were beating good teams. They were killing teams that were lesser than them. Like, that team was so good. And I didn't have a problem with them being 4. They ultimately lost in the title game, so it didn't matter. But had they won the SEC championship, I would have had no problem with them getting in over some 1-loss teams in the Power 5, because they were just so good. And I think that's a situation where it's like, record doesn't really matter as much. You know, in theory, you just want the best 4 teams in. The easiest way to judge that sometimes is record.
Well,
And so I think that's why most people just go off of that and that alone. And I get it. I do.
I think you gotta separate some caveats where it's like, okay, how do you rank teams objectively rather than bias based?
I mean, it's hard.
I mean, objectively, you gotta go off of wins and losses because that's why you play the game. You play the game to win the game. That's why you play the game.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, I agree. Like, a 3-loss team should not even be sniffing a 4-team
No.
playoff.
Well, I mean, like in a 14 playoff, no 2 team has ever really made it, have they?
No.
Right. So,
Auburn was the closest.
right. I mean, that makes sense. If you have those hiccups, you lost the game. You did not achieve the purpose of playing that game. Don't get me wrong. You can be a really good team, become really good at the right time. Like we've seen it multiple times in college basketball when the tournament happens, and that's the magic of the tournament.
Yes.
But that's also a 64 field where everyone's basically got a shot that deserves a shot to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I don't really have a problem with it.
Right.
I just think, there's nuance sometimes. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes it is as simple as, well, that team's undefeated. Throw them in. Like, who? Like, I think Central Florida should have been in the playoff.
Oh, that
several
year?
years ago when they
Oh.
went undefeated.
They beat
Cincinnati,
Auburn, yeah,
when
in
they
the
went
Sugar Bowl.
undefeated, they got into the playoff.
Right, makes sense.
And I was rooting for them all the way, despite, us being rivals with them. I was absolutely rooting for them because of what it meant.
Right.
But they were one of the 4 best teams.
They also
Like,
had
they
a,
lost to Alabama that year, but that was a close loss. Like, Alabama destroyed some good teams that year.
right.
That Cincinnati team was good.
Oh, I'm not saying that
Oh,
they
yeah,
weren't.
I know. I'm just...
They had Desmond
I'm
Ritter.
ranting
They
to
had Sauce Gardner. They had some really good talent
Oh,
on
they
that
had
team.
a lot of NFL players there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a good talent. It was a good team. Had, in my opinion,
And
a
Luke-
top
yeah.
coach.
Exactly. Luke Fickell.
Yeah, it was a great team.
Even though they're 5-4 at Wisconsin right now. It's year one.
Right. I mean, you got to figure that out. But yeah. So looking at the rankings, what issues did you take with the rankings this year? If you want to pull it up for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the committee just threw a bone to Group of 5 teams. Like, they actually, it's crazy. I found out James Madison wasn't ranked. They're not going to be ranked this week either because the stupid transition rule applies to this rankings. They
Oh,
can't
really?
rank James Madison. James Madison can finish 12-0. They can't rank him.
Oh.
It's ridiculous, but I mean, they really did just throw Tulane and Air Force a bone. They're like, we don't care. We're not taking you seriously. This is simply for, we've got to have a Group of 5 team ranked
All right.
so that we can pick someone for the New Year's Six Bowl.
Okay. Knowing what we know now, obviously, how do you think these rankings get shaken up now? Your undefeated teams remained undefeated.
Yeah, 1 through 5 is not changing.
1 through 3 is not changing at all.
No,
Oregon survived.
Mhm.
Texas survived. Alabama kicked butt
Yeah,
against a decent. Oklahoma did not survive.
yeah.
Ole Miss won.
Oklahoma and Missouri are the only teams in the top 12
They're
that
going
lost. The only teams in the top 13 that lost.
Right.
And so I think it's going to be pretty simple. I think those
Just
teams are
go
out of
down.
the top 12. A lot of teams
Shift it
are
down.
just going to, shift up.
So
Louisville's probably going to be 11. Oregon State is probably going to be
you're just
12 or 13.
Louisville's at the end of that one loss
Yes.
group, so
Mhm.
they're going to move up past Oklahoma now. You think, and
I think so.
as well as obviously Missouri losing.
Yeah.
So that pushes Louisville.
Even though
to-
Missouri played a good game.
so that
They played close.
So Louisville will be 11 coming out.
I
today.
believe so.
And then you got Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Penn State, and then Louisville's 11. Does LSU? So here's a question for you: do your 2 loss teams? Well, LSU lost.
LSU's a 3-loss team.
Now they're a 3 loss team because they just lost. So Notre Dame would be the next team, right?
Notre
2.
Dame also lost to Clemson.
Oh my gosh.
So they're both 3-loss teams.
So it's Oregon State would be your next 2 loss team.
It's either Oregon State or, depending on how they look at Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
they might put Oklahoma above. And I could understand that. Oklahoma's got a really good quarterback. They've got Brent Venables, who is a great defensive coach.
Right. So I was going to ask, does Oklahoma and Missouri stay in front of Oregon State, or does Oregon State jump them?
If I had to guess, I would say it's Louisville 11, Oregon State 12, Tennessee 13.
Tennessee's 13?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think Tennessee's moving up to 13, and I think, I don't know, they'll probably drop Oklahoma to 14 or 15.
Wow. Okay.
That's it, my guess. Here's another thing. I told you I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap, even though nothing is proven whatsoever. I told you
Your
the committee.
conspiracy theories.
Yes, because I'm right. I told you the committee ranks teams at the bottom of the rankings depending on who they want to get in the top of the rankings, in the top 4.
Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and
They
Kansas.
wanted Texas and Oklahoma. They wanted one of the 2 in there. Oklahoma, of course, lost, so that kind of ruins that. But Texas now has a win against a ranked team.
Yeah, but here's the caveat I will say to that, where I will disprove that. So they have 6 teams in front of them, right? Obviously, Ohio State and Michigan, one of them's going to lose, right?
Yes.
And the way I'm looking at it right now, Oregon and Washington are going to play each other again.
Most likely, yeah.
Right. So if I had to take a guess, it looks like the Big 12 is going to be out. If Georgia and Florida State went out, it's going to leave either Michigan, Ohio State, for 1 spot, Georgia for the 2 spot, probably a Florida State for the 3 spot, and then a Washington or Oregon for the 4 spot, leaving Texas and Oklahoma out.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Because do you think there's any point in these rankings where any of those unbeaten teams or one-loss teams could leapfrog another team?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think if the committee wants a team in, and if they take the steps to give them enough resume builders to get in, I think they're gonna give them the nod.
Maybe.
You know, like, I don't know who Texas plays this week. Let's say they just keep playing teams ranked like 21 through 25, just because they keep putting teams in there and they keep running through them. They're gonna bump Texas. They're gonna give them the nod. They're gonna say, like, well, they keep beating top 25 teams. Like, there's nothing we can do about it.
They've
even
got
though they're the ones
TCU.
ranking them. Okay, so TCU's not gonna be ranked.
Iowa State and Texas Tech.
Yeah, none of those teams are gonna be ranked. So,
And then
but that again, this is the craziness of the conspiracy theory. That goes into my whole thing of
I don't think this is making sense for you right now.
no, it does. This is their only opportunity left in the regular season, realistically, to get a win over a ranked team, and so they gave it to them. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I don't know. I still think you could say they wanted to give Oklahoma and Texas resume builders, but because of the way they ranked them, they still would rather have Washington or Oregon end up above them. And I don't think that's an inflammatory comment.
No. Gotcha.
All right. Another thing is, I think if Miami, this is a crazy thing, I think if Miami would have beat NC State this past weekend, I think they would have put Miami in so that Florida State.
Miami lost to NC State?
Yes, they sure did.
Oh, my gosh.
It wasn't that close. It was like 20-9.
Jeez.
Yeah. I think they wanted to put Miami in, but Miami lost, so they can't reasonably justify it.
Gotcha.
So Florida State's not going to have another ranked win for the rest of the regular season. But I could see Kentucky getting put in because they play Alabama.
But Kentucky just lost to Tennessee.
Kentucky just last week they beat Mississippi State. They're 6-3 now. So I could see him putting Kentucky in. I'm not guaranteeing it. I could see it. All right. And then they play Alabama at home this week. So
Yep.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Devin Leary's playing a lot better. I don't know
Is he
if
now? He's starting to figure it out?
I really do think he was injured, and I think he's just now getting healthy.
Mm.
He's playing much, much better football.
It only took 3/4 of the year to figure it out?
Yes. All right. That's that. You want to talk about just real quick other big games of the week?
Sure. Let's
Yeah.
go down.
Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma. That was probably the game of the week.
Oh,
In
absolutely.
hindsight.
Without question. Looking at it. But, I mean, the game of the week was Missouri, Georgia.
That was our game of the week, yes.
It was the sole possession of the East.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now Georgia's is running away with that.
Georgia has to lose out. and-
Basically.
No, they do. They
Yeah.
have to lose out in the SEC, and Tennessee has to win out
Yeah.
for there to be any movement whatsoever,
Which
which I don't think is going
it
to
won't happen.
It could actually, because Georgia
Mhm.
does play Ole Miss and Tennessee. So those are
Oh, yeah.
two relatively tough games, but I still don't think it's going to happen.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very important game because now Oklahoma's probably out of college football playoff. Oklahoma State is in the driver's seat to play in the Big 12 championship.
Absolutely.
More Big 12 games. Texas barely beat Kansas State. Kansas State probably should have won that game.
Yeah.
Texas came out with a big lead in that game and then blew it and went to overtime. But they don't have Quinn Ewers. I'm not
Right.
really putting much stock into like a close win against Kansas State because I think Kansas State's good still.
Oh, they are a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's just
so-
weird. Kansas State's been weird this year.
Yeah, they were kind of weird last year. They went 9-3 through the regular
they
season.
barely lose to like Missouri. They barely lose to Texas. They lose to Oklahoma State by a touchdown.
Yeah.
They lost. I mean, like
But then every other game,
Those are all
they're-
solid losses, though. Is the thing.
I mean, but you gotta, if you want to be a good team, you gotta find a way to beat those teams.
I agree. I just think they lost a lot in the, to the NFL draft.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
I think for them, the toughest game left on their schedule is Kansas, and that is a tough game. But I mean, if you win that, you're going 9-3 again. It's still a good year.
It is a good year, but
Yeah.
it's still like
I think as far as having lost a lot of talent, if you just take a lateral step, I think that's good.
all right.
I think that's a good thing.
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
It's improvement in a way,
Yeah,
but
but I mean, like your ceiling could have been a BCS bowl.
yeah. Well, I mean, they still could in theory.
They need some help.
They do need a lot of help. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best odds for them is people above them in the Big 12 lose, and then they go out and they do what they did last year and win the Big 12 when they shouldn't have. But all right, another big game for the ACC. Two big games actually. Florida State beat Pitt by a much closer margin than I think people would have been comfortable with. It was only 24-7. It was like 7-7 at halftime or something like that.
Oh,
It was very close. Florida State just pulled away because they just got too much muscle. So that win, coupled with Louisville beating Virginia Tech, that clinched Florida State a spot in the ACC title game. And then the Louisville win over Virginia Tech gives Louisville the inside track into competing in the ACC title game as well.
We're in sole possession of second place with
Yep.
one loss. That one loss being a bad loss to Pitt.
Terrible loss to Pitt, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great
Yep.
for Louisville.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then Alabama beat LSU. That was a fun game
Yeah, it was.
until Jalen Daniels got hurt. He got a concussion.
Oh,
Knocked him out of the game.
no.
It wasn't competitive after that.
That makes sense. He's
Yeah.
a top quarterback in the league or
Yeah.
in the country.
He's
Wrong
very
word.
good.
Yeah.
And then what was it? The shootout. Washington. We'll save that actually last. Arizona beat UCLA in their third upset in a row. Arizona's probably going to be ranked now.
You think?
I think so. They've beaten at least two ranked teams in a row. It might be three. Like Arizona is on fire. And by the way, two of their three losses, very close losses in overtime against USC and Washington.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
this Arizona team has just been a thorn in people's side.
You are correct. They are ranked 23rd by the AP.
Yeah. And I think the playoff committee is probably going to rank them too.
You could, yeah. They're sitting right now 4th in the Pac-12.
That's wild.
It is wild.
I mean, I don't think they play anyone above them, so they would need a lot of help.
Well, they did lose to Washington already.
Yeah, Washington. And
Colorado, Utah, and Arizona State.
All right. Well, that other game that we skipped over that we will get back to. Washington and USC played a great game,
If you love offense.
which I do.
It was like 90 points. Something like that. 94 points.
94. Yeah. It was 52-42.
It was-
Washington.
It was so good that USC decided to fire their defensive coordinator.
Yep, that was the result of that game.
Which,
Alex Grinch finally got fired from USC.
I mean, to be fair, you don't get fired for one game.
That is absolutely correct. He has been bad since Oklahoma.
Yes, he has been very bad.
And if Lincoln Riley can get a guy who knows what he's doing on defense and just kind of give him the reins, because I think that's what Lincoln Riley wanted to do anyway. Just have a guy who's like, hey, the defense is yours.
Right.
I don't want to pay attention to that.
He's like George W. Bush. He's like, just come on in. You take care of foreign policy over there. We're good.
Are you saying George W. Bush to Dick Cheney?
Oh yeah, absolutely. just run with it. What do you say?
You can have a foreign, domestic, and
I'll
I'll take intergalactic.
Now watch this.
We'll have the
drive.
best intergalactic strategery in the whole galaxy.
Man, I tell you what, one of the worst decisions I ever made was trading Sammy Sosa to the Cubs.
You ever seen the?
I have not seen the movie.
No, there's Will Ferrell on SNL as George W. Bush. He's like, there's an old saying. Fool me once. No, he's like, there's an old saying. Throw a shoe at me. Shame on you. Throw 2 shoes at me. I'm keeping those shoes. Very good. It's very good. Will Ferrell's great.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, Alex Grinch got fired.
Okay. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So Lincoln Riley's still trying to find his Dick Cheney out there.
Yeah. Once Lincoln Riley can get his Dick Cheney, there's no telling what this USC team can do.
Well, the other issue is, like, if that is the case and he's not fully committed on, like, the defensive side of the ball.
Which is not uncommon
for,
like, specialist head coaches.
Well, I mean, it does make sense. Like, I was very fun watching the Bengals-Bills game on Sunday night because you basically had 2 head coaches in their specialties, Doug McDermott of the Bills. I think I said that right.
Sean McDermott.
Sean McDermott, my bad.
Doug McDermott plays for the Spurs.
Yeah,
3-3, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, but Sean McDermott is a defensive specialist coach.
Yes.
He's the play caller on defense for the Bills. And you got Zach Taylor, who's the play caller on offense for the Bengals. So you basically had 2 head coaches basically drawing up plays against each other, and it was fun to watch and stuff.
Yeah.
But
it's why it's the thinking man's game.
But it's very
chess
much
match.
it's very much the thing where it's like Jeff Brom very much is well in tune with the offense, knows the offense, and he knows the defense as well.
Jeff Brom is a coach. He's one of those coaches that, like, he's an offensive guy. He's going to deal with the offense.
Oh, absolutely.
He calls the plays on offense. And the defense, he works with the defense.
Oh,
But
no.
whoever the defensive coordinator is, they're in
But
charge
as a
of the
head
defense.
coach, you are most definitely doing both. But it's not uncommon at all to see head coaches prefer one side of the ball over the other.
Absolutely. You got to get your start somehow.
Well, I mean, you're either a quarterbacks coach, running back coach, O-line coach, or you start out as a position.
Yeah, DB coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they get a good defensive coordinator in there, if they should hire Charlie Strong. That's what they should do.
He's an analyst right now for Alabama?
Is it Alabama or Florida?
I thought he was an analyst for
He's
Alabama.
an analyst for someone. Sorry. I just to let everyone know, I choked on some water right before we filmed, and I nearly died. So that's why I'm coughing a bunch. But I mean, Charlie Strong's available. USC should go out and get Charlie Strong. I mean, if he's an analyst, he's still available. Doesn't matter.
Co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach at Miami.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
He will reunite with Alabama defensive coordinator Kevin Steele, who held the same position last year with the Hurricanes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's interesting, actually. I did not know Charlie Strong was a co-defensive coordinator at Miami.
Huh.
That's very interesting. We got to play him in 2 weeks. That's a homecoming.
That's a way, though.
That is in a way, but that's the first time Charlie Strong will have coached against Louisville since leaving for Texas.
Man, 63 years old. Didn't realize he was that
Oh,
old.
he looks great for 63.
I know, right?
Um,
Anyway.
I still think Lincoln Riley could be like, hey, man, I know you're a Florida guy, but come out west, you will have sole control. You will be the only defensive coordinator. I think that would be the pitch. Don't know if he'd go for it because he does love Florida. Like, this basically, if you look at the places he's coached outside of Louisville and Texas, it's pretty much all Florida. He was,
USF.
Mm-hmm. He was at Florida under Urban Meyer for a long time.
Yeah.
Other news as far as shakeups for the coordinator position. Deion Sanders. This happened last week. We didn't get to talk about it on the episode last week because it had happened after we had already recorded. We only record once a week, and so we didn't get to really talk about it. But now there's more to the story so that we can talk fully about it, I think. In order to make adjustments, do what head coaches do, try to put your team in the best position to win, Deion Sanders demoted, in a sense, he stripped away the play calling duties from his offensive coordinator, Sean Lewis, who is a very well-respected offensive mind. He was the guy, I talked about him last week. I mistook him for Jason Candle, who was the head coach of Toledo. Sean Lewis used to be the head coach of Kent State. He left being the head coach of Kent State to be the offensive coordinator for Colorado, which is kind of crazy. Some might look at that as a lateral move. Some might look at that as a step down. I think he made the right decision because there's more eyes on him.
Right.
And he's a very good offensive coordinator. Their offense was fantastic to start the year. And also, Kent State has been horrible this year in their first year without him. That typically is the tell for how good someone is when they leave, how bad is the place that they leave. Like, Kent State sucks this year.
Right.
And he's not there. It's his first time not there in a while. But he got the play calling duties revoked from him, and former NFL head coach Pat Shurmur, who was an analyst for Colorado, was promoted to co-defensive coordinator with Sean Lewis, and he was given the play calling duties, which is another weird situation because he was an analyst, which is, we went over this last week, that just means coach. But there is a limit on the number of people who can have the official title of coach for a college football team. And so he had to demote one of his offensive coaches to an analyst. So that's another whole sticky part of this situation. But in their first game, with Pat Shurmur calling the plays and Sean Lewis just as the co-offensive coordinator, their offense did not look good. They only put up 19 points against Oregon State, who Oregon State does not have that good of a defense this year.
No, they do not.
And so I know it's just one game. I know it's the very first game. But it's a weird decision to make with 4 games left in the year.
Is it, though? Or is it just like something's not working, so you're seeing adversity, so you're going to try and change something?
I understand that after 4 games into the year.
Honestly,
I don't understand that with 4 games left.
Who did they play last week, and how did they do?
Especially because their offense has been the best part about this team. They've put up points. Shedeur Sanders has looked great. But, you're saying who did they play this past weekend?
Right, because, I mean, like, what's the reason for the change? I thought the issue with Colorado was their defense and not their offense. I thought their offense was able to put up points. So the fact to make this change doesn't make sense.
The issues with Colorado are both lines, defensive and offensive line. But the week before they had played UCLA, who UCLA is a very good defense this year. I don't think they did much against UCLA, but I don't think it warrants like demoting your play caller, who has been very good this year so far.
Right.
And so I just don't think that looks very good. That doesn't shine a very positive light on Deion Sanders, who I don't want to pile on Deion Sanders because so many people hate him now because they're like, oh, well, I guess that's what we're doing. But it's not a good look, I don't think. It looks like a panic move a little bit. Because their offense was great this year. It was great. And then, I don't know. I just think it's a weird move. What's your take on it?
I don't really think it makes sense to do it this late in the season. Granted, I don't know enough about what's going on behind closed doors in Boulder.
Yeah, I mean, none of us really do.
Right, but I mean, it just screams desperation. To be fair, I feel like Colorado has exceeded my expectations for this year. I only had them at 2 wins or whatever.
I think I had them at 4 wins total.
I mean, like it is something to be said about like you having expectations for a season, but I don't know. Like, do they have a shot at like a bowl game? Like they are sitting.
Yeah, they've got a shot. I think they've got 2.
They've
got 3 teams left.
They are 1-5 and they're 4-5. They're 1-5 in conference play.
Yeah,
they're on a 3-game losing streak.
Play Arizona next. That's rough.
Yeah, they got Arizona, Washington State, and Utah. I really don't see them winning any of those games.
Yeah,
I mean honestly,
Washington State's only 1-5.
I mean, to be fair, if you really look at their schedule, the only like surprising win coming in preseason is really like TCU.
Yeah, and TCU has not
what we thought they were
they've
preseason.
not been what we thought.
So I mean, like, honestly, I think they're just performing to expectations. They are. I mean, like they squeak.
In hindsight, yes.
Well, yeah, they just squeaked by an Arizona State team 27-24.
Oh yeah, they needed a last-second field goal to win.
I mean, they lost by 7 to in my opinion, a good Beavers Oregon State team.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think they're good.
I do think it will be difficult to get bowl eligible. I mean, they got to find a win between Arizona, Washington State, and Utah.
It's got to be Arizona and Washington State. Like, I don't think there's any way they're beating Utah.
I mean, Utah, like, if Colorado's defense wasn't awful.
They've got a good secondary is the thing. They just, with Shiloh Sanders and Travis Hunter, they have a very good secondary. It's just they don't have the guys in the front seven yet.
Right. I mean,
they're a year or two away. And
maybe. I mean, a year or two away from what, though?
Being really good.
Like, what's really good?
9.
Playoff worthy?
Yeah, I think so. 9 or more wins.
Really?
Yes, because they've got Shedeur Sanders. He's really good. He can come back for a year.
Will he, though? If the money's on the table, would he not run and take it?
I could see him come back. I could see him come back. Because let's say they only win 4 games this year. They lose out.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very likely, honestly. So you improve, you go 8-4 next year.
Right.
You bring in some new talent. You bring in a whole new offensive line.
Well,
like
you're just saying they go 8-4 next year.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm putting together a scenario.
That's a dream scenario.
They quadrupled their wins from last year already. What's doubling their wins?
It's one thing to go from 1 to 4. It's another thing to go from 4 to 8.
I mean, they're going to bring back a lot of people.
Let me put it this way. You quadruple it. Yeah, it's easy to multiply 1.
Yeah.
It's very easy. But it's like you're asking them to go from 3 more wins to then have another 4 more wins on top of the 3 wins they just had this year. That's a lot to ask.
Because it's not the same team from.
Well, no, it's definitely not. But
yeah, I think it's possible. Let's say they go 8-4. I feel like 8 wins is the minimum to be considered for a Heisman these days. If Shedeur Sanders wins a Heisman, his stock goes up.
I don't know.
I think it does.
No, I disagree with that. I don't think your stock goes up because
happened to Baker Mayfield.
I mean, like that's one example, but I mean, like Lamar Jackson almost went 2nd round. You literally, I mean, there's
the players that win the Heisman and then have to come back to college. That doesn't really help them all that much.
Let's go down this rabbit.
Johnny Manziel won the Heisman, had to come back for another year. He went mid-first round. Had he left the year before, he would have been a much higher pick. I really think it helps a lot to win the Heisman and then immediately go to the draft.
Okay.
GMs like that.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. All right. Great. But I think that's why he comes back. I think they've got a lot of good young players on their team. I think a lot of them come back. And then they're going to hit the portal really hard. Like they're already recruiting well.
Right.
And so
it's the primetime effect.
Exactly. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to, especially if they're going to a lesser conference next year.
Very true. I was just about to mention that. When you said 8-4, I was like, well, the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. But they're going to the Big 12, and then they're going to a Big 12 without the 2 best teams historically in it.
Mm-hmm. The new big dog of that conference is either going to be Utah or Oklahoma State, I think. Maybe Kansas State.
Oh, Utah's joining there, yeah.
I think Utah's going to run it. I really do. But
that is a thought.
They've been a good program under Ken Whittingham.
TCU maybe sucks this year. But I mean, like traditionally good teams.
Kansas.
The Big 12
State.
The Big 12 is going to be home to all those good teams that are like the 10 to 20 range. All those good teen teams that are consistently in the teens.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
It's the best of the rest. That's what the Big 12 has turned into.
Yeah, you're going to have your elite programs, and then you're going to just have, like, not top football, but it's going to be...
Like good, like places that if you get a scholarship to, it's like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to post this. I got an offer from here.
I got an offer from Kansas State. Of course I'm going to post this.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. We'll see how all this works. We'll see if, I mean, obviously there's less. It's easy to say like, oh, well, you weren't doing this stuff when you were winning, and now as soon as you're not winning, you do. It's like, well, yeah, because if you're not winning, you have to make changes.
Right.
But I do think it's a
not
little
broke, you don't have to fix it.
yes, but I do think this is a little bit premature. I think
It
you
is.
agree with me. And I don't know if Sean Lewis is going to be the offensive coordinator next year. Because I think probably the draw was like, hey, you're going to control the offense. You're going to get a lot of eyes on you. You're going to have better, toys to play with than you did at Kent State, which is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's not
On the table.
that's not the deal anymore.
No.
And I think he's probably gone. But
Right. So is that offensive line.
yeah. Well, speaking of another person who's gone. You know him, you love him. Connor Stallions.
I don't know about it. There's not too many people who are loving this man right now.
His wife, maybe. Is he married?
I have no clue.
I don't either. Well,
Probably too committed to traveling around stealing signs.
he travels a lot, That's
There's records of him traveling a ton.
sure are. He officially resigned last week. Was it on Saturday?
It was something. He resigned, yeah.
This weekend. It was either Friday or Saturday, I
Right.
believe. He resigned. There were reports that he was fired. I think he was officially he resigned. Well, I don't think too many people are upset about it. I do feel bad for him because he's just a lackey, Like he's just a low-level coach, just trying to work his way up, and his coaching career is dead.
He was doing a lot. I mean,
It's not like he was initiating it.
no, but you can't deny the work ethic he had. I mean,
Exactly. Exactly. You don't want that guy coaching your team?
Except for the problem is, I don't think he ever was coaching. He was just
He was an
scouting.
analyst.
He was scouting, if you will.
Yeah,
He,
that's true.
My
Look,
goodness.
that's how Calipari got his start. He
mean-
was Pitt's top recruiter.
There's records. There's what, 16 teams in the Big Ten? 14? What is it?
I think it's 14 right now.
14? 13 of them had records of him buying tickets to games.
Yeah, and you're not gonna buy tickets to Michigan,
It's ridiculous.
so it's literally every team.
Literally every team. There's records of him in Georgia. There's photos of him this year when Central Michigan played Michigan State
Yeah.
on him on Central Michigan's sideline.
Yeah,
He has a 600-page something like that manifesto of why this is what he's like.
like the
Who has a
Unabomber.
man? No, exactly. It's literally like the Unabomber. Like this is how psychotic this man is. Right or wrong about his thoughts and beliefs. Now the way to
and
execute those beliefs.
I don't think he was doing this alone. I think he was instructed to do this. He's a low-level coach.
You want to know what's also funny though is that the Unabomber went to Michigan too.
Did he?
Yep.
I thought he went to Harvard.
No, he went to Michigan.
Let's look this up. I'm pretty sure he went to Harvard. Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
He did. He went to Michigan and Harvard.
Right, he went to
He has-
Michigan. One of his bombs went to Michigan.
2 degrees from Michigan.
Right.
And 1 degree from Harvard.
Where do you see this?
Okay, so we were.
Oh, right there, yeah.
So we were both correct, actually. It's
I
interesting.
was gonna say, like, yeah, he went to Michigan. One of his bombs was at Michigan.
Mm.
But anyway, what we've learned is that if you are passionate about something and you want to seize the means and controls of something and you want to do something, go to Michigan. Apparently they got something there that really puts forth the
That
the
drive
can-do
in you.
attitude
Yeah.
and manifestos.
You know what was in Ted Kaczynski's manifesto?
Automation and how it's going to take over the world. I mean,
Is it?
oh yeah, like
Yeah,
a lot of
that guy was an idiot, though.
No, but to be fair, if you actually read his manifesto, it's not a lot of bad points. It's just how he went about.
Yeah, but he also says some stupid things in it. The thing I'm getting to is in his manifesto, he just rants about traffic lights and how if you're stuck at a red light, you should be able to go if there's no other cars. That's in his manifesto. That's the guy we're dealing with here. That's who we're comparing to Connor Stallions. Ah, what a time to be alive. Why are you guys watching this right now?
I know, right? They aren't.
Yeah, they're not. Anyway. You know what's interesting about this, though?
Let's go.
You know the school that really pushed the Big Ten to look into this? Take a guess.
Purdue.
No, it's not Purdue. Take one guess who would want the Big Ten to investigate Michigan.
Ohio State.
That's correct. It's petty, but, you know.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to find an
They were
edge.
cheating. It's like, you know.
A lot of them want to find, want them to be punished this year.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean,
Which is interesting.
Let's be honest. The teams that want them, like as a Louisville fan, I want them to get punished this year. Like, give them a postseason ban. I want better odds at making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like, that's not going to happen. I know all the Big Ten schools are urging them to punish them like swiftly, and then simultaneously, Michigan is urging.
Do your
for,
due diligence.
for a respect of due process.
Well, the other thing about it, though, is that, like, usually when something like this is going on, it's going to take
It's going to take months, yeah.
if not a year.
Well, in theory, it really should only take months. The NCAA is just so inept that they end up taking 2 years for all their investigations.
Well, here's the question. If you're the NCAA, what is Michigan's punishment for doing this? What happens to Michigan? I think...
honestly,
there's no denying the evidence.
Yeah,
the evidence
absolutely.
is there. We know they did it. Paper trail and paper trail.
there's no
video
denying
evidence.
the success that came as a result.
Absolutely, that too. So the question is, what is the punishment for sign stealing in college football? Commissioner,
low-level sign stealing or this sign stealing?
this is the reports. From what you know right now, granted, this can change as more information comes out. You, Commissioner DeBurger, what is the penalty?
I don't think it's out of the realm of sanity to give him a postseason ban for 1 year.
1 year postseason ban.
Yeah, they will probably go to 3 straight playoffs because of this. Which, look, I love my boy Harbaugh, free Harbaugh, but like, they're clearly getting a massive advantage. The year before they started doing this, they went they had 2 wins.
Right.
They had 2 wins in a single season.
Mm-hmm.
It was the COVID year, so they only played 8 games or something like that. But still, they had a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
Their first win came over Penn State that year, who didn't win a single game that year.
Mm.
They were bad 3 years ago.
Mm.
And then they start doing this, and they're fantastic. It's not a coincidence. They're obviously doing it. There's a paper trail. There's video evidence. They got caught in 4K. I've never seen someone get caught in 4K before. But that's a reference if you didn't get that. I think you got to give him a postseason ban.
Just 1 year?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Postseason ban.
Yeah. Straight to jail.
Yeah.
Charge too much for it.
To be fair, it is unfortunate because what can the NCAA even do other than a postseason ban?
They have no power.
Well, the thing is you can't punish players. Well, players didn't do anything other than follow orders.
Yeah, players did nothing wrong.
Well, they were the ones who were told, "Hey, do this. We're gonna steal their signs."
Players were told hey, this is what they're doing. As far as you know, from the standpoint of a player,
on how
your
they
coach
know they're
tells
doing?
you. Yeah, your coach tells you hey, this is what they're. This is
right.
they're gonna run a sweep. You can just say something generic, and it's oh, we've got great coaches here. Our coaches are incredible.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah, and so
here's another one. Do you think this will be the catalyst for microphones on the field for players and helmets
Yeah,
to eliminate this?
I do. Yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't either.
Yeah. It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we're going to talk a little bit about college basketball, but first, let's mention Urban Meyer, just because it's a nothing story now, but it's
Urban Meyer is becoming the new head coach of the Michigan State Spartans. Not really.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that he was the front runner. That was wrong.
He definitely flared out of the NFL, so that's not happening anymore.
Yeah. Well,
He only lasted, like 8 weeks in the NFL, if
it's
that?
not a full season.
Yeah.
He sucked in the NFL.
He Bobby Petrino the NFL.
He's one of these. Well, no, because he didn't quit. He got fired. Bobby Petrino quit.
Right.
The thing is, Urban Meyer is one of these CEO coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't actually do anything.
Oh.
It's no secret. Like, Urban Meyer is a guy who just hires good coordinators, and then is like, all right, you guys do all the work, and I'll be the rah-rah guy. That's it. That's all he does. And that just didn't work in the NFL.
No.
It can work in college. It does work in college. It can't work in professional sports. But so as far as just winning and losing, if you're a college team, you can hire Urban Meyer and you can win. You can be fine. From a moral standpoint, Urban Meyer is a nightmare human. He's a pile of garbage.
He's a sawed-off little prick.
Yeah, that too. He sucks. I think he's a bad guy.
Oh, in other news,
He's a bad boy, yeah.
Like a sad news, if we want to continue on like the Big Ten coaches, Bob Knight died.
That's true. Bobby Knight.
He did the
Bobby Knight.
age.
He's old. I don't know.
We should know this.
That marks 2 Hall of Fame coaches dying this year. Early in the year, I believe in May, Denny Crum died.
80. I gotta do math.
83.
Yep.
And so early in the year, Denny Crum died, and then just last week, Bob Knight died. So,
Right.
Yeah, no, it's sucks. They were great coaches. Bob Knight, not a great person. Denny Crum, everyone says was a great guy. Seems like a
everyone
great guy.
says that.
Who says anything negative about Denny Crum's character?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Knight. My bad.
No, I was talking Denny Crum.
Sorry.
No, Denny Crum's a great guy. They got caught cheating in the 90s, but like as far as a human, he was a great guy.
Yeah, so great. His moral compass was a little spotty, but
Look,
great guy. I mean,
9 out of 10 teams are cheating, and that 10th team is in last place.
you're trying to catch that edge. Did Denny Crum have a manifesto in the 90s? Did he go to Michigan?
I highly doubt Denny Crum had a manifesto. He was a West Coast guy.
A little West Coast.
Yeah, UCLA.
That sucks.
Yeah, no. Sucks. Oh well. What can you do? That's a horrible way for me to end that.
Yeah. Sucks to suck.
Old people die. What are you gonna do about it?
Oh,
That's not what I meant.
there's death, taxes.
Death, taxes, and Louisville basketball.
Oh God, let's not talk about this.
Yeah. You wanna
What?
do the conference thing? Or you wanna talk about college basketball first?
It's up to you.
Let's do college basketball real quick because I'm
Sure.
very excited about college basketball.
Yeah, basketball is back. As
Basketball's
of today
back.
recording, it is already started.
Yes, it has already started. As of recording this, South Carolina has already waxed the floor with Notre Dame.
Women's.
Yeah, that was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was.
USC was up against Ohio State in women's as well. Last I checked, that's an interesting one.
Ohio State, I think, is a really good team.
We'll have the women's top 25 by the time this come out. I promise you.
Yeah, sorry. One of us is slacking on that.
Yeah, one of us is.
Wonder who that is.
We'll have it out,
The
so you'll see who our top 25 is.
Our top 25 is.
Yeah, we'll give you a hint. LSU is probably going to be number 1, even though they're coached by the devil.
Golly. Did you see what she said about Angel Reese?
No, I did. What did she say?
She said, it's so nice to see a woman on top of the sports world.
I mean, in a vacuum, there's nothing wrong with that comment. But it's Kim Mulkey, so I think I hate everything that she says.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's the devil. I hate her. I've never met her, and I hate her
Word.
with a passion. But very excited. College basketball, there's a lot of great matchups, actually, for women. There's typically not a lot of good matchups early in the season for men.
No, it's usually like the beatdown exhibitions,
Yes.
and then you get into like the
It's your
Maui
bye week, yeah.
Invitationals, and then like
Yes.
there's one in
You got
New
the
York.
Champions Classic with Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State, Kansas.
Yeah, that one's
how
in
did
the
Michigan
Garden.
State get in that? I know they had to get to like a Big Ten.
Traditionally, they're not bad.
Oh, no, they're a
but
good team traditionally,
but
but
they're
they're-
not the blue bloods.
Yeah, they're
of-
like top 10, but they're not on the same level as
No, they've been beaten down by Michigan.
they could
as
have.
of
They
late.
could have gotten UCLA or like Indiana. Like, why did they get? I don't know. But hey, good for Michigan State. You know.
Sorry. Oh.
What was that? What was that?
I'm sorry.
It's from the soccer game. Are you okay?
I'm sorry.
I thought you were having a heart attack. Jesus.
Oh my God, my heart just skipped a beat. Sorry, I'm watching the Tottenham Chelsea game as we're recording this.
Yeah, because we're real professional.
I'm sorry about that. Oh,
Jesus, I thought you were dying, man.
oh my God, that was offside. That sucked.
Oh, look, college basketball's back. I'm really excited. A game I'm super excited about.
Didn't mean to scare you.
As the night of recording this, the game I'm super excited for in men's is USC versus Kansas State. I cannot wait to watch that game.
Kansas State's supposed to be good.
They're not ranked, but I'm just really excited about see what Jerome Tang can do in year 2. Because you know me, I'm all aboard the Tang train. I'm all aboard that Tang train. We'll talk about Louisville men's basketball as little as possible. Don't worry. Yeah, I think that's it. College basketball is back. I'm really excited.
it is.
Can't wait till the games start getting interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
All right, do this segment with me.
yeah. We're gonna do a quick little segment, a fun little segment.
He's
It's
gonna ask me some questions
Yeah.
about stuff.
So I'm just gonna fire off the power conferences for college football. We're gonna see how those conference races are shaking up, and I'm just gonna ask Sam what he thinks of those races, who he thinks is gonna be competing for the title.
Sure.
And we're going to start with the ACC because we're going in alphabetical order. It is, for the first year, there's no divisions in the ACC. Florida State is at 7-0 right now with they only play 8 conference games. They've already clinched their spot. Louisville is sitting alone at second place. The ACC network gives them an 84% chance to make the title game.
Right.
Below them, there are, I believe, 6 teams with 2 losses in conference. Louisville has 1 loss, and of those 6 teams, Louisville has beaten 5 of them. Who do you think is going to play Florida State?
It's Florida State, Louisville.
Yeah, this one was not the most fun to start out with because it's probably going to be Florida
I
State.
could have just said Florida State, Louisville, and we could have gone on to the next one.
Yeah, we could have. Louisville just needs to beat Virginia and then have Duke beat North Carolina, and they're in. With 2 weeks left, this game could already be set.
Yeah.
But, all right, moving on to the Big 12. This one is a little bit more interesting. Texas and Oklahoma are at 5-1 in conference play. They're
Oklahoma
the only
State.
Oklahoma State, sorry. Texas, Oklahoma State, both sitting at 5-1, both the only one-loss teams in the conference. There's no one undefeated. And then below them, you've got 5 teams with 2 losses. Kansas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Iowa State. Obviously, Texas, Oklahoma State have the inside track into making this title game. Do you think that's how it's going to play out?
Yep.
You don't think there's going to be any?
Well, looking at their schedules, it doesn't seem like there's going to be too many hiccups. It's not like they're facing any of the mid-tier teams of Oklahoma, Kansas, or Kansas State. They all play lower-end teams. I mean, you could argue West Virginia has looked decent, but I'm not going to say that.
They're 6-3.
I don't care. They're not winning the national championship, so they suck.
All right. Well, moving on to the Big Ten. This is another one that Big Ten still has divisions.
Yeah, so it's going to be Iowa out of the West. I can't believe I'm saying that. And then it really just comes down to the last week of the season when Ohio State and Michigan play each other. But then you also have Penn State, who still has to play Michigan, too.
Yes, the Big Ten, they still have divisions. It's the last year of divisions, East and West. The East, the only teams that can make it from the East are Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
From the West, it is an absolute nightmare. The only team that cannot make it from the West is Purdue. They're sitting at 1-5.
It's got to be Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa's sitting at the top.
Can't believe
of
I'm
the
saying
West.
that. And to be fair, a little caveat in Brian Ferentz's defense, no team in the Big West has hit the benchmark
I
that
saw
he
that
needs to keep his
statistic.
job. So,
It's because the Big Ten West sucks.
or is it just very good defensively?
No, it sucks.
But I mean, like,
these teams are not good.
you would expect, like, if a team sucks, then, like,
Yes.
offensively, one of them to go off against each other, and that just has not happened.
No, because they suck.
Offensively, yeah.
All right. Well,
And then, so the West will be Iowa, and then it really just comes down to, do you think Ohio State will win or do you think Michigan will win? And honestly, I don't know enough about either of these teams. I did talk to an Ohio State fan recently, and he hates Kyle McCord, so there's that going for
yeah.
him.
And the game is at Michigan.
I'm going to do Michigan. Michigan, it's going to be a yellow-themed Big Ten final.
Michigan, Iowa.
Mhm.
All right. Next, we're moving on to the Pac-12.
It's going to be a rematch of Washington, Oregon.
Well-
It's not really a question. Every other...
If USC beats Oregon, then they're going to have the tiebreaker over them.
There's no if there. USC doesn't have a defense against a Heisman caliber quarterback.
Well, they fired their defense coordinator. Maybe they got someone in there with some brains.
Well-
No offense to Alex Grinch.
I mean, Alex Grinch is going to take offense because he kind of sucks.
Well, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't touch him with a 6.5-foot pole.
I think it's longer than that in the story. But anyway,
Oh, is it?
yeah.
I thought it was 6.5.
I think it's like 39.5 foot pole.
Oh, fair enough.
Washington, by the way, is 6-0 in conference. They're the only undefeated team. Oregon is 5-1 with their only loss to Washington.
Is it bad that I do think Oregon's the best team in this conference? I just think
No.
like they just weren't able to execute crucial plays, fourth down plays against Washington, and that's what cost them. If
No.
they kick field goals, in hindsight, they win that game. But
Yeah.
obviously, they go for it on goal lines and they don't convert.
Well, Washington has a great offense. They think they thought they had to keep up with them.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
And also, the game was at Washington.
Yes, it was.
So, no, I don't think you're crazy for saying that Oregon's the best team.
Right.
All right. We
It'll
should
be
have
a
done this earlier in the year. This is not as...
No, it's
This
literally
is
like
a little
it's literally like,
wrapped
is
up
it
now.
1, 2, or 3? Because I mean, like,
Yeah. Because here we go. Here's the West. This is not...
okay, it's Georgia in the East.
Yeah.
Georgia literally.
Georgia's basically wrapped up the SEC East
Georgia's
already.
babysitting the East at this point, just saying like, "Come here, children.
Yeah.
Let me beat you."
If Missouri beats Tennessee, Georgia is going.
I will say
Georgia
this.
doesn't have to win another game. For the rest
I
of the year.
little insider scoop. Well, not insider scoop. I'm picking Ole Miss over Alabama, so I technically have Ole Miss right here over Alabama.
Okay. Well,
So
Alabama would have to
No?
lose out in the SEC.
To not get the
They would-
spot,
yes.
even if Ole Miss beats them.
Alabama already beat Ole Miss.
Oh,
That's
really?
their one loss.
Oh,
Yes. So
oh, I see.
yeah, Alabama has to lose out. Georgia has to lose out for those two teams to not be in the
Oh.
championship
Well,
game.
then it's Alabama, Georgia. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I was gonna try to have some fun.
Well, this wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be.
No, because it's literally 3 weeks left in the season.
Yeah, I should have done this earlier.
Yeah, midweek.
I had
maybe.
the idea too late. Oh well.
Yeah. pick the teams that are gonna make the conference championship. Okay, I will. Watch me be like 85% correct.
You might be 100% correct. I wouldn't doubt your abilities here.
Yeah.
All right.
Need a fiduciary advisor.
Yeah, it's time. Come in my office.
Let's go for it.
Well, last week we did solid. We did pretty good. Our only loss being Nebraska versus Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh darn it.
Rats.
Gosh darn it. They were this close to bowl eligibility, and I thought they were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Nope.
No.
Wasn't meant to be.
D'Antoni and whoever the interim coach is, they got those boys ready to play. And they knocked off the Cornhuskers, I believe, in Nebraska. I believe that was a home game for them. So that's shocking. Well, the rest of the games, Sam Houston got their first win of the year. First win ever as an FBS team, even though it was against an FCS team. And they barely won that game.
Does it really count then?
I mean, yeah. In the record books, yeah.
All right.
All right, and then Rice SMU had a close win against Rice. Rice has some decent talent. You know, I like Rice somewhat. They're not a fantastic team, obviously.
Love me some white rice.
I mean, rice is good. It depends on what we're cooking. If we need white or brown.
You could go for a burrito right now.
Yeah.
White rice, pinto beans.
I had white rice for lunch. Anyway,
Yep.
moving on.
Once again,
It wasn't just white rice, but
that's be a little bit weird.
as a
It's just
fiduciary,
free
I
lunch.
have to offer
White rice.
dietary advice as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, white rice is quite healthy,
There we go.
but it's not unhealthy. Anyway, Arkansas beat Florida.
Yeah, they did.
Arkansas beat Florida by 3 in overtime.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I didn't know this when I picked Arkansas. This is the first time Arkansas has ever won at Florida.
Really?
Yep.
How about that?
Didn't
You
know that.
It only took Florida spotting them 14 points to start the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Florida's not that good. They're 5-4 now.
Yep.
So.
All right. Who are your holds?
Oh, yeah, by the way, Toledo and Liberty also won.
Yep.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Nah, it's whatever. I was going too slow anyway. My holds. First, I'm going to do it. I'm keeping the Pony Express going. I'm holding SMU. They're playing good football right now.
They're a very good team.
They're a good team. Are they going to be in your top 25? You think you're going to put them there? They're not in mine, but they're close to it. Anyway, they played North Texas.
16.5-point favorites against North Texas on Friday
That's
night.
a Friday night game, just like it's high school, baby. The week after that, they play. That's a dicey game. That game is basically going to decide one of the participants in the American Championship game.
Oh, no. SMU, I think, is going to roll. I mean, if you look at the way they've been playing.
I do think SMU's a better team than Memphis. That's 2 weeks out. We don't even need to pay attention to
But
that.
yeah.
But that's going to be a good game 2 weeks
I don't
from
even
now.
know what I'm doing tomorrow.
All right. So they got North Texas. North Texas is not that good this year. North Texas has such a little history of being good at football.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, North Texas fans. If there are any of you. Sorry again. Well, I'm also going to hold Toledo.
As you should.
Yes, Toledo, they're great. They have a fifth-year senior at quarterback who can opt to come back for a sixth COVID year next year if he would so choose. Jason Candle's a good coach. He's been there for a long time.
Gotcha.
And they play absolutely nobody worth their salt. Like,
Nope.
They play Eastern Michigan, who is 4-5. They're playing a Wednesday night game.
Wednesday night at 7:30. Toledo is an 18.5-point favorite. You got the big favorites coming out right now.
You know it's prime time football when it's on Wednesday night.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, literally speaking, it will be a prime time. It's 7:30, but 7:30 Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they're gonna win that game. It's not gonna be close. Toledo is what 8-1 right now.
Something like that.
They're very good for a Group of 5 team. Yeah, they're 8-1. So I've got Toledo. And guess what? That's it. That's it for the holds.
Ooh.
There's a lot of movement this week,
We gotta move on.
where there was 0 last week. First, sell. It's going to be Nebraska. You let me down. I'm sorry. You play a reeling Maryland team this week. I don't trust you. I don't do it. So I'm going to get rid of you. And who am I going to pick up? You might find this one interesting. Duke. The Dukies. The Blue Devils. They play North Carolina this week. North Carolina also kind of reeling. They've only won one of their last 3 games, but that one game was against Campbell University, who is an FCS school.
Oh.
Yes. So, are they going to have Riley Leonard back? I don't actually know.
But you
I'm
don't
kind of
think it
just,
matters.
I'm kind of just. No, it definitely matters. It absolutely matters.
Are you riding the hot hand?
I'm just kind of just hoping they get Riley Leonard back. Yeah. So
So
we're gonna
you're-
pick up Duke here.
You're picking up Duke
Yes.
over UNC.
Yep.
Duke is an 11.5-point underdog against UNC.
Well, that's rough. Maybe Vegas knows that Riley Leonard's not gonna play in this one.
Well, if this hits, we're making a ton of money.
Ooh.
Anyway,
All right. The next cell, Arkansas. I don't have to say anything else. No.
they beat Florida, man.
I don't care.
Apparently you don't.
Who am I gonna replace him with? I don't know. Who do you think I'm gonna replace him with? Tyler. That's right. Clemson.
Who's Tyler?
You know, the guy. Did you not hear about Dabo Sweeney's rant on his radio show?
Yeah, it's whatever.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Oh, it's crazy. Some guy went on his. Some guy called into his radio show and was like, "Why are we paying you $11 million a year to go 4-4?" And he's like, "Well, Tyler."
That's a great call. I did not hear about
Yeah, Dabo Sweeney ranted for like 5 minutes.
Why did we pay you to go for it?
Yeah. This guy seemed like he was probably like 16 or something.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
And then how did Dabo respond? They beat Notre Dame. So who got the last laugh? Tyler. Yeah, Clemson, they're 5-4 right now. I haven't been a great team this year, but they play
Georgia Tech and
Georgia Tech at home. That's the deciding factor for me. Georgia Tech is a little bit of a sleeping giant. They're a little bit of a
Clemson's
David.
a 14.5-point favorite.
Yeah, but Georgia Tech, Brent Pry, man, I like Brent Pry. He's got some spunk to him. to you know, if that's the word you want to use. Georgia Tech has a knack for beating teams that they shouldn't beat. That being said, it's at Clemson. I'm pretty confident that Clemson kind of got their mojo back a little bit with the win against Notre Dame. I'm taking the Tigers. They're adding them to the portfolio. Next, we're going to get rid of Sam Houston once again.
No, really.
Yeah, once again. I
team
don't
that has-
have to explain this.
The team that has one win that you bought with 0 wins.
That is correct, yes.
What are you doing to yourself?
Look, I split. We're fine. We're good.
No,
Who am I gonna
we're
re-
not. That's a-
Shut
that's a-
up.
That's a 0.
Shut up.
We didn't gain
You're
anything.
paying me for my time.
Apparently, it's an awful waste of my time.
Shut up. Who are
And
we
my
going to
money?
Shut up. Who are we going to replace him with? We're going ACC again.
Oh.
NC State, keeping it in the Carolinas. That's right, the Wolfpack, they play Wake Forest. Wake Forest sucks this year. They're missing Sam Hartman in the worst way. Even though he folds like a lawn chair under an effective pass rush, they're missing him so bad. Mitch Griffiths is just not getting it done. Sorry, Mitch. But they're struggling. They don't have the talent. They don't have the talent. They're sitting at 4-5 right now. NC State is sitting at 6-3. Did you know that?
Yeah. No.
No, well, they are. And sure, their offense is abysmal, but their defense is great. Peyton Wilson is,
I will agree with that.
oh my God, Peyton Wilson is a monster. He's
Yeah,
a
he
freak
is.
of nature.
He
Holy
sure is.
crap. That man, if he doesn't go top 10 of the draft, I don't know what's going on. But that's not what this show is about. Next cell, well, I've got to get rid of him. I've got to get rid of them, and that's Liberty. Sure, they lied on police records about how safe their campus was, but they were winning me games, and now they're in the A&P top 25. I got to get rid of them. Who am I going to replace them with? Auburn. That's right. Another
Wait.
team in the South. Go ahead.
So you're getting rid of Arkansas
Yes,
to get Auburn,
to get NC State.
who plays Arkansas.
Yes,
So you got rid of one team to now go against your former.
that is absolutely 100% correct. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that is 100% correct. Yeah.
Well, Auburn is a 2.5-point underdog against Arkansas.
Yeah. They've got a
Saturday.
tough remaining schedule, honestly.
Auburn?
They play at Arkansas, which is not that, but it's a road game.
Mm-hmm.
They play New Mexico State, the
That's
penultimate
supposed to be a
season.
hard game.
New Mexico State is 7 wins right now
So why are we buying them?
because
I mean,
there's a freeze coming. Hugh Freeze.
well, Hugh Freeze.
Yeah. Well, that's the portfolio. We got SMU.
And you can parlay all this together
yeah.
to where if you bet $10, we are not doing that. We are betting
Yeah, no.
one.
Bet
But if you-
responsibly, people.
But if you bet $10, you can win $283 off of this parlay.
Well, the last time that I did that, it didn't work out great.
So you bet $1 and you can win $28
Yes.
for a plus 2,834 bet.
Yep. You got it.
I'm losing $1 this week.
Well, it's all about the journey, not the destination.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway, my portfolio this week is SMU, Toledo, Duke, Clemson, NC State, and Auburn. That smells like 6-0 to me. It smells like money. I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner.
Cold, hard cash.
No, I might have soup.
Rice again?
No. Anyway, we're going to move on to the pick'ems, I think.
Let's do
right?
the pick'ems.
We're not going to do college basketball yet. I think we're going to wait until the season's over, right? College football? Just makes the most sense, don't you think?
I suppose. I don't know.
We didn't talk about this before
No,
we
we
started
did
recording.
not. All right, let's get to the pick'ems.
I mean, at the very least, we're not going to do college basketball this weekend, just because
let's get it
it's like there's no games. But anyway,
Right.
I mean, there are games, and I'm excited about it.
They're just not those games.
It's not any marquee match.
Who are you gonna pick? Michigan or Chinookee
Yeah.
State A&M?
Michigan or Kalamazoo.
Yeah, that sounds like a good dish.
It's a city in Michigan. Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
All right. First matchup, we've got Mountain West. We had a lot of Mountain West matchups. It's a good conference this year.
It is a fun conference to watch.
We got Wyoming versus UNLV. I'm taking UNLV in this one. I like UNLV. They only have one loss in the conference, and I think it's going to continue. Even though I think Wyoming's a solid team.
Yep, and I'm taking the solid team in Wyoming.
All right.
I think they're a solid team.
Next, this could be some of your game of the week. It's not ours.
It was not.
No, Michigan versus Penn State. It is at Penn State.
Because of that, we're taking Michigan.
Yeah. Penn State has, I mean, I'll say this. Both of these teams have very weak schedules. They have some
Except
weak
for
schedules.
each other.
Yeah, Penn State has the much tougher schedule, and that tells you a lot because the toughest team probably that they played is Ohio State, but then after that it's
Oh yeah, just
West
the number
Virginia?
one team in the nation.
well after that it's West Virginia.
And then the number. I mean, you can't just say like
I know, I
They don't
forgot.
have
I
that-
forgot.
they don't have that tough of a schedule. They just play the number 1 and number 3 team in the
When
nation.
I was leading up to that, I had forgotten that they played Ohio State for a second. Look,
They don't play anybody.
yeah.
Just 2 teams that are right now in the playoff.
I'm taking Michigan as well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Next, we've got Alabama versus Kentucky. Kentucky salvaged this and made it a noteworthy matchup by winning last week. It's
Mississippi
at
State?
Kentucky. Yeah, they beat Mississippi State,
Yep.
who was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Alabama in this one.
Roll Tide roll.
Yeah. Anyway, we got Miami, Florida State. Rivalry game.
Oh yeah.
ACC has already been clinched for Florida State. They're already going to the title game.
Really?
Yep.
They can lose out and still go.
That is correct. Because this is their last ACC game. Week after that, they play. I don't know who they play after that. But then the last week of the year, they play Florida.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
yeah. Florida State, I think I'm going to take them to go perfect in the ACC.
Oh. Yeah. Florida State looks good. So far, there's no team in the ACC that looks like they can beat them.
Yeah. All right. Utah, Washington. Utah dominated Arizona State, a team that's kind of been playing close against teams that they shouldn't be playing close against, but they got smacked by Utah. Washington played a great game against USC at USC. Who you got?
This matchup is interesting in my opinion because it's like well-matched teams. It's a very good defense against a very good offense, and a very bad offense against a very bad defense. Like Washington's defense is pretty bad. Granted,
They played well against Oregon.
did their job against Oregon, got some key stops, as well as like Utah's defense looks really good, but Washington's offense looks really good too. Offense wins championships. Give me Washington.
I'm going to take Utah on this. I think it's going to be a similar air as when Utah plays USC, because in a lot of ways, the past 2 years, USC has been very, 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 very similar
Have they now?
to Washington.
I like the way you said that.
Washington has, like we said, phenomenal offense, porous defense. And I think Utah defense travels, and I think they're going to win this game. All right. Tennessee, Missouri, two teams who, let's face it, not going to the playoff, but they're fighting for pride. And maybe a spot in the Sugar Bowl. Who knows? So,
Yeah.
two lost teams with Tennessee and Missouri. I'm going to go with Missouri in this one. I think they're going to bounce back. It's at Missouri, and I think they're going to knock off Tennessee.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Give me Missouri. They're gonna solidify themselves as the second best in the East.
Yep, I think they're a much better team than Tennessee. We'll see how that goes on Saturday.
Yep.
Next, we've got Rutgers and Iowa. Rutgers at Iowa. Brian Ferentz is a lame duck. He is. Rutgers coming off of a game that was much closer than the score would make it out to be against Ohio State. They led at halftime. They were driving in the third quarter to extend the lead until they threw a pick six. I'm taking Rutgers in this one.
Give me Iowa in this one. Don't think that offense is gonna do much, but man, oh man, that defense is good.
Yeah, this is gonna be another just boring game.
Well, name me an Iowa game that isn't gonna be boring. Because it's either one, they're gonna get blown out, or two, it's gonna be a low-scoring defensive game.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I mean, yeah, give me Iowa.
All right. Next, we know how you're going in this one. We got West Virginia versus Oklahoma. Just go ahead and say it.
Let's go Sooners.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised you.
Dylan Gabriel's so good.
No, he's a good quarterback.
He
I like
actually is,
Dylan
yeah.
Gabriel.
I wasn't being sarcastic when I said that.
Lefty.
Shout
I'm
out
going with
them
Oklahoma
Southpaws.
in this one. I'm also taking Oklahoma. I think
Yep.
they're going to bounce back.
Uh-huh.
Duke, North Carolina. You already know my pick. I'm taking Duke because I'm assuming Riley Leonard's going to be healthy. But boy, that is a lot rides on Riley Leonard being healthy in this
I
one.
mean, their defense didn't look great against Louisville. Their offense looked horrendous with Riley Leonard against Louisville. I haven't really watched too much of UNC, but they got a very high draft prospect in Sam Howell. No, not Sam Howell. Drake May.
There you go.
I've done that like multiple times this year.
I think that's the second time you've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. But give me North Carolina, who I thought was going to be the second best team in the ACC this year.
All right. Well, we have another Pac-12 matchup, Pac-2, if you will. USC versus Oregon. You said it. I think you might not be wrong. Oregon might be the best team in the Pac-12, so I'm going with Oregon this one. It's at Autzen. I don't think USC's got a chance.
No, I don't think so. USC. There's a reason why USC went from being like ranked fourth in the nation to start the year to now being unranked, basically.
Yeah.
Give me Oregon.
All right.
It's not that close.
And our game of the week, probably everyone's game of the week, even though I said what I said about Michigan and Penn State just minutes ago. We got Ole Miss versus Georgia. This is probably going to be a top 10 matchup. Both teams, their chances to make the playoff are alive. This is a very, very important matchup. Who you got in this one?
I might surprise a lot of people. Give me Ole Miss.
That is surprising.
I think Georgia lost a lot last year in the draft on defense. They definitely look vulnerable and not the same team that was last year. They are without their best player in Brock Bowers now, who's out for the season.
Is he out for the season?
Yep.
Ah, man. It's rough for them.
He's out, and I think Ole Miss's offense is very good. Their defense, not amazing, but not horrible. Definitely the vocal point of this Lane Kiffin team is the offense, and I really like what Jackson Dart has been able to do this year. So give me Ole Miss.
So my take on Ole Miss is that I agree they do have a good offense. I mean, it's Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's he's built out a great system there.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of weapons. Jordan Watkins is doing great. Louisville native.
Oh, there you go.
He played at Louisville for a year and then transferred out. He's their leading receiver. But anyway, I'm not as high on that defense as you are. I don't think their defense is very good.
I think with Georgia, it's like, who is the guy on that
On offense?
on that offense?
I think it's Lad McConkey. He
mean,
was
it's not-
out.
I mean, it's not Carson Beck.
No, it's not. I would agree with you. Lad McConkey was out for the majority of the beginning of the year, and then came back just 2 or 3 weeks ago against, I believe, Auburn. I believe that was his first game of the year. And now with Brock Bowers out, I think you're definitely losing a lot. You're losing more than you gain, but you do gain with Lad McConkey.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very fast receiver. Georgia, yes, I've been saying it all year. They lost a ton on defense. They're not the same team that they've been the last 2 years. I'm still taking Georgia in this one. I just feel like I can't pick against them. I don't know.
This is the first time I felt kind of confident picking against Georgia. The spread on the game, if you're interested, that's fine.
Yeah. I will say about this game, if it turns into a shootout, I don't think Georgia can win.
It's an 11.5 point favorite for Georgia.
Wow, look at that.
It's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. All right, well,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for us.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys.
Great. Basketball's back. I'm excited.
Absolutely.